Before we get into the content today, just a quick reminder that if it resonates with you and you want to book in with me or my coaches, there is a free call booking link in the description. Enjoy. Let's talk books today. Let's talk books. I got a bunch of different categories here. These are the ones that have helped clients the most. Really, really good books. Understanding the body, understanding why they do what they do, or their shit comes up in dating and relationships. These are the ones that have just been money. So best for attachment styles. Best book on learning about attachment styles. So if you don't know, attachment styles is basically the way we connect to others. So in dating and relationships, it's kind of important. It kind of matters. Attachment style is a thing, an important thing. So best book I gave to Your Brain on Love. Your Brain on Love by Stan Tatkin. If you haven't read this one, you need to read this one. It just simplifies it. It makes all the concepts really, really, it compares things to like islands and planes, and it's great. It's great. This is a really good book for learning about how you connect to others, how others connect to you, why men have or haven't done certain things. You'll be able to see your attachment style as it relates to previous partners and current partners. Just a wonderful book. Just a wonderful book. Quick honorable mention on this point to Amir Levine's book called Attached. It's a great book as well. And this is just my opinion. I think it's not quite as good as Your Brain on Love. But people do love that book. I know a lot of people just really love that book too, so that's just my opinion. I think it's like a little harder to read. It's a little higher sciencey, but still a great book as well, Amir Levine's book. By the way, there's no sponsorships to any of these. I'm not getting paid anything to mention any of these. I probably damn well should be, but that's a problem for Mark to deal with another day. Second category, after attachment style, sexual empowerment. Getting your sexual confidence, owning your sexual side. There is so much shame related to sex, and especially for women, especially if you've grown up in a conservative culture, if you've grown up in a certain religions culture, there's just a lot of shame around that. So there are some great books on this. I would have to say that my favorite for clients throughout the years has been Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. Really, really good book. Just remove shame. If I had to sum up what this book does in a single sentence, couple of words, it would be it takes away shame. It removes shame. It just highlights, it sort of takes away from those you should be this way narrative, you should look like this, you should sex like this. And it's just, hey, what's normal is a great variety of things, and that's normal. And that's okay. It's a really good message in that book. It is a bit of a longer one. Now, I was going to get the physical books for these, and then I was like, you know what? I don't actually read physical books. I don't do it. Some of you love physical books, in which case, good for you. But I don't read them. It's very rare that I read them if I really, really have to. But 98% of my books now are audio. So the vast majority of these you'll see today are also on Audible, which is great news. Best book for masculine energy. You want to give your partner a book, just don't emasculate him in the process. But yeah, as men, this is something we've all got to work on. And this is one of those books that not only do the men that have read this absolutely love it, but the women who have read it all want to give it to their men. So it's a bit of an old school one, but I think it's just golden. And it is Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. It's just, if someone doesn't know what masculine energy is or can't really describe it, just kind of give them this book. It'll simplify it. It goes really in depth to being present as a man, being on your purpose as a man, being strong as a man, but without too much of the, I guess, toxic controlling elements that are often associated with masculinity. So great book, get it, read it for yourself. It'll probably help you clarify what you're looking for in a guy as well, and give it to your brother or uncle or someone. Best book on feminine energy. Best book on feminine energy. This I think is the only one from the list that is not on audiobook yet. So Alison Armstrong, do it for us. Get your act together. She has audioed a couple of others. I don't know why she hasn't audioed this one. Maybe it's in certain countries or something. But The Queen's Code. The Queen's Code, just a wonderful book on feminine energy, alleviates a lot of those misconceptions about what feminine energy is. I'm actually going to do a whole separate video on that soon. But yeah, it alleviates a lot of those misconceptions. It really encourages empowered feminine energy. I've never met a heterosexual woman or even a gay woman, honestly, that's read it and didn't like it. It's just really, really good for, I think feminine energy has a lot of, preconceptions, especially from, honestly, from feminism and women who are more feminist and have that belief sets. But this book just dispels a lot of that. It's not the victim-y, needy thing. It's really, really empowered. So if you want to empower your feminine energy, and especially if you are a woman who feels like she's running her masculine energy a lot, make that your Bible. Make the Queen's Code your Bible. The fifth category, best book for trauma and learning about trauma. Not the happiest topic, but I do find that when I'm working one-on-one with clients, the vast majority of their, like 70% of their dating relationship troubles are related to some kind of trauma. We all have trauma. A lot of it doesn't, a lot of us, aren't affected by it a lot or just a little bit. But if stuff is coming up in dating relationships for you, if you're attracting the wrong people, if you're on a roller coaster, if you're not getting the intimacy you want, it's all trauma history. And we often think of trauma as getting beaten or something extreme. It usually isn't like that. Usually it's something much more subtle, so we don't even recognize that it's happened to us. And it creates little subconscious blocks and things that show up, as I say, in our dating, in our relationships. So it's really important to understand trauma, how it works in the body, and I do a lot of releasing work with clients. So again, if you ever want to work on this stuff with me, I'm here for you. Fill out the thing in the description. But the winning book is The Body Keeps the Score. Old classic. Yes, it's been around for a long time, but if you really want to know how trauma functions and gets set into the body and why it affects us later, that is the book that that's the book you want to have in your library. Number 6, this is one of my favorite categories, but it's not everyone's favorite categories, and honestly, a lot of women I talk to, it's not their favorite category, but I do think it's important to understand, and it's the biochemistry category. I think we can get lost a little bit in like, oh, love and fantasy, and it's just magical. I'm not an especially spiritual person myself. I definitely think there's more to the universe, but love is a very human evolution concept. And so there's human evolution hormones and chemistry that creates that. So biochemistry, understanding why that is, how it works in men, how it works differently in women, how it works for partnership, I think is really important. And so I gave best biochemistry book. It was really close, this one, but I gave it to The Male Brain by Louann Brizendine. Just a great book, just talks a lot about the different stages of men and the effect testosterone has in the brain and malaria inhibiting substance and vasopressin and the way it bonds. And yeah, if you want to understand human pair bonding, especially in men, from a scientific level, it's not too scientific-y, but just from a scientific database level, this is a great book. It'll give you a real insight into male brain chemistry, why we do what we do, and help you, I guess, unravel some of our confusing actions and just really understand us as men better. And by the way, guys, if you're watching the female brain, just as good equivalent. A quick honorable mention to Helen Fisher, who wrote Why We Love. That was very, very close to winning this category. Very good book on pair bonding, all the different hormones, the effects they have. If you want to understand love biochemically, Why We Love is another great one. Category 7. All right, we're getting into some of the really interesting ones now. Best book for polyamory. Best book if you're not a monogamy person. The best book in this category goes to Polysecure. Polysecure by, I've forgotten the author's name now, it starts with a J. I'll have to look for the author's name. Definitely starts with a J, I think. And anyway, the book is fantastic.
Jessica Fern.
Jessica Fern, it was a J. Jessica Fern's Polysecure. If I had to sum up this book in one sentence, it would be, think monogamy is hard? Try polygamy. It really does give a wonderful insight into what creating secure attachment is. And it's not a vulnerability dodge, as polygamy is often used for. It's, here's how to do really secure functioning monogamy 3 times at the same time. Read it. Yeah, it gives a really good insight, as I say, into secure functioning and the reality of what forming polysecure relationships is. Number 8. All right, best book for modern dating. Best book for modern dating. Now, I had a long think about this, and I realized that I don't care how biased I am. I'm giving it to myself. All right, Matthew Hussey, get out of here. Brian Knox, get out of here. It's Mark. Make him yours. It's on Audible. You should get it. I am seriously very, very proud of this book, and it's gotten some great reviews. So if you have left a review, thank you so much for it. I appreciate that. And that's not to say that there aren't other great books out there as well in this category. Obviously, all these categories have that too. Number 9, category number 9. All right, best book for single women. Best book for single women. Again, I had a lot in this category, and there was a lot of good ones out there. I went with an old classic because I think it just sums up some really core concepts brilliantly, and I went with Sherry Argov's Why Men Love Bitches. If you haven't read it, it's not actually about being a bitch. Too long didn't read summary is basically have boundaries, have standards, stick to them, and don't be ashamed of them. Great, great message. If you've ever fallen into the nice girl category, if you've been too understanding, you really can't go wrong with this book. On the other hand, if you're more of a independent type, if you're more of a hard-working type, really independent, hard-working, if you sometimes get the feedback, men are intimidated by you, this is probably not your book. You're probably already pretty good with your boundaries and standards. Go back to the Queen's Code. Go back to Alison Armstrong if you're more from that end of the spectrum. Best book for single men. Best book for single men. I think I have a man crush on Mark Manson because it seems I can't go a video at the moment without mentioning him. Best book for single men is Models. Models by Mark Manson. Actually, this was his original title. He was originally a dating coach for men, and I think this is just far and away the best book that you can ever read if you're a guy and you want advice about women, on dating in particular. There's probably better books on relationships, but particularly on dating. Fantastic book. Women often hear the title and assume it's about picking up models. It's actually not. It's a play on words about being a masculine model and a model of healthy masculinity. So, best book for single men is Models. 2 more categories. Best book, sort of best, I guess, life advice for women book. I don't really know what to call this one. It was sort of best like overall relationships advice book. This title is just magical. This is just absolutely magical. It's a pretty recent one too. Boundaries Boss. Boundaries Boss. This book is absolute money. I've had clients listen to this 3 times and say, it's so good, I'm gonna buy the physical copy as well. My old favorite on boundaries was the Cloud and Townsend book. But if you're not into religion, you sort of have to really water that book down. It can get very thick, that book, even though it is a good book. And Boundaries Boss is just phenomenal. Terry Cole.
Correct.
Terry Cole.
It is Boundary Boss.
There. Boundaries Boss, you know the book. It's fantastic. You got to get this book. If you just want good relationship life advice, wonderful, wonderful book. Best book for marriage, we're finished with a good one. Best book, if you're a couple and if you want to make marriage work, 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work by John Gottman. Can't really go past this one. It's got the most science backing it, decades and decades of research, really, really great overall concepts in this book. If your marriage is in trouble or if you just want a really good marriage, get this book, read it, listen to it together, do the exercises, you'll be fine, rest of your life, crush it. Quick, one more honourable mention. I did want to mention Esther Perel, who does a lot of work around desire. In some ways, it can be seen as a little bit opposite to John Gottman's work, but it's actually, what is it when they're side by side? It's actually supportive of the work. There's a better word than that, but basically it goes along really well with John Gottman's work. So Esther Perel, the best one that I usually refer clients to is Mating in Captivity. Mating in Captivity. So that's an honourable mention as well. Thanks for watching today. Leave a comment, please, with your favourite book. I really want to hear it down there in the comment below. Hit the subscribe button with the little bell.